Good evening, everybody. By now, you've had the budget proposal circulated a lot. You've been reading it, digesting it, and a lot of thoughts are going through your mind on how good it is. Well, frankly, there was a lot of stake on this budget. Generally, it was seen as the NDA government, after a bit of a drubbing, was coming up with its third avatar, and a lot of expectation was there. People expected that it would go into a fair amount of rectification as well as increased spending in infrastructure so that as to sort of kickstart the economy. Jobs was to be a priority, which it has actually done, as well as agriculture and so many other areas. There was a lot of expectation riding, but unfortunately, a lot of those expectations have been belied. Um, One thing which strikes you about the budget is that there was no philosophy running right through it. There were a few sort of top points or striking points about it. For instance, the question of the importance of job creation, the importance of skilling, the importance of creating alternative solar energy and green energy. These were some of the important aspects, as well as rectification of the tax regime and making it simpler. These three or four areas were definitely a kind of connector which we must see, but ultimately a long-term philosophy, a kind of vision that will see the next 2 or 3 years as far as the NDA government goes. That was found to be missing. Some of the things which we see, and the capital markets reacted negatively. Initially, there was a sharp fall, and there was some retraction. Mainly, the sharp fall was because of the immediate impact, where there was a feeling that there's a negative change in the capital gains tax. The short-term capital gains has been increased from 15 to 20%, and the long term has been increased from 10 to 12.5%. These were not expected, these were not anticipated, and there was a little bit of a panic in the beginning. But as things sort of panned out, we know that the market, there's a lot of liquidity, 4-5 lakh crores, which is swishing around, and it has the capital market has the strength to be able to take this, and it will ultimately absorb it and move on. So this will, in the long term, will not have much impact, but in the short term, from a sentiment point of view, this definitely had a very negative impact. There is a certain philosophy behind it, which we must understand, that the government, which otherwise taxes assets and income at 30%, has been charging much less in terms of tax for the returns that are being generated on the stock market. 10%, 15%, these are fairly low figures. And somewhere I think the government decided that this has to be shaken out. And those gains, which were earlier being allowed so that there was more investment in the private sector from private parties and a great more investment in manufacturing and generating growth, all that has already happened. Markets have matured. And so now is the time to bring things into a more kind of equilibrium. So that was probably the thinking behind it. But initially, there was a definite negative impact.